Pigweed here. Today we review an Octoberfest and discuss Hawaii. Hello and welcome to Beer and Conversation with Pigweed and Crowhill. Good evening, Crowhill.
Good evening, Pigweed.
So, what's on your mind?
Well, I was visiting Capt in Crowhill, and there was this saying that I had shared with the kids, and surprisingly, that saying showed up on the wall in her kitchen.
Okay.
And it's something I think that Jordan Peterson would really like.
Okay.
The saying is, everybody wants to save the world, but nobody wants to do the dishes.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a great thing. You know, people have these grand plans, but they don't want to do anything practical and actually significant for anybody in the real world, you know.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and the visit was in Hawaii.
Oh,
so,
well, there's a bonus for you.
That's right. There's a bonus. So, what is this? What is this somewhat amberish liquid I have here?
Yeah. So, well, I don't think it's a beer. I think it is a malt beverage.
A malt beverage, yes.
That contains less than 0.5% alcohol, and we're going to see what a non-alcoholic Octoberfest tastes like from Partake. I don't know where are these people from. I know they do a lot of
no alcohol
beers, and they're pretty good so far.
They are pretty good, and they also somehow they get the calories way down on theirs. I mean, their Partake Pale Ale is like 10 calories.
I
don't understand how they do that. Because
No.
other non-alcoholic beers are 70, 80, 90, and this one is 30.
30.
Yeah, I really don't understand that. I think they're using a different definition of the word calorie.
Okay, well, this is my experience so far, or the way I look at this non-alcoholic beer challenge, is making a hoppy beer isn't that hard.
Yes.
Right? You got to put a lot of hops in there, and just very little malt. The malt creates the sugar, which creates the alcohol.
Yeah.
You don't put a lot of that in there. There's not a lot of alcohol to get rid of.
Right.
Where if you want to make a malty beer, you got to put a lot of malts in. Now you've got a bunch of alcohol that you have to get rid of.
Yes.
And so far I'm seeing a lot more hoppy beers.
Yes.
So let me see. I'm trying to find something with some malts in it. The one dark beer that we had a lot of coffee flavors to it. So it was a black ale, but not really malty as much as it was kind of charred and it was good. A break from the hoppy beers. But this is supposed to be just...
There was a brown ale I saw up at our local place,
right.
And I'll have to bring that one by next week because it was very malty. But you're right. I think if you're going to make a non-alcoholic beer, you're probably better off aiming for the hoppy side of things.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this, it's just not. It's not bringing the maltiness that Oktoberfest is known for.
No, it's not.
So.
Well, it's still perfectly fine to drink, but it's not bringing that malty flavor, that
caramel,
notes of caramel and all that. Yeah, it's not really bringing that. It's still perfectly drinkable.
Yeah.
But I'm not rating it high as an Oktoberfest.
I'm not, and if I'm going to get a beery tasting beer, I think so far I'm going with the hoppy ones.
Yeah.
The IPAs have probably been the most satisfying. Sure, this is perfectly fine. I'll drink the rest of those. And someday this will all be over and I'll get to drink a real beer. It's happening.
All right. So Hawaii, now we've both been there.
Yes. About 30 years apart. So we'll have to see how they go. So why? Was it beautiful or still beautiful?
Oh, it was amazing.
Right?
Absolutely amazing. Just beautiful place.
Right. You just turn around and you go, it's almost this feeling like you're at a Disney theme park and they've set this up for your for your enjoyment.
Yeah.
And then you're like, man, it's like this all the time, even when I'm not here.
It's sort of like a Disney theme park until the chickens walk by.
Yeah.
There are chickens everywhere on the island. We were on Oahu.
Right.
And this is just so weird.
That is weird.
Apparently there are no natural predators for the chickens. There are no foxes or anything like that. So chickens run wild all over the island.
That's nuts. So where's that? Out in front of the church?
Everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. You're sitting there at a bar, drinking a beer, and a chicken walks by.
So it's not It's not that they're out from some coop to the day that they'll return to. They just live in the
wild.
Just
live in the wild.
Well, not the wild.
Everywhere, yes.
In town.
In town. Every single place there's chickens.
Well, seems like you could be easy eating if you didn't.
Exactly.
Right? Just go out to dinner time. That's actually easier than going down to the sea and fishing.
Hey, Junior, go grab one of those.
Wring his neck and bring him back in.
So, yeah, I guess you could do that. Now, I also saw my first mongoose.
Oh.
Never seen a mongoose before. Apparently, so when the Polynesians first came to Hawaii, they brought dogs, chickens, pigs, and rats.
Right.
Apparently unintentionally, they brought the rats. I don't know why they would do it intentionally. But there's a rat problem on the island, so they brought in mongooses. Apparently you can say mongoose or mongooses.
Okay.
I think I like mongooses better. They brought in mongooses to take care of the rats, but it didn't work because rats are most active at nighttime, and mongooses are most active in the daytime,
right.
And they just kind of never ran into one another enough for the mongooses to take care. So now they've got a mongoose problem and a rat problem.
Right. And you don't want to bring in snakes to take care of the rats, which would probably be killed by the mongooses, or you either have just be killed straight away by the mongooses, or then you have a snake problem on top of your own problem.
Trying to monkey with a complicated system is difficult.
Yeah, and they have a feral pig problem, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. There's pigs around, and so that it is difficult because they don't want. They've got ships and things coming in. They don't want to bring in other plants or other birds or other insects. You don't want to mess with the ecosystem, so you try to protect that. But anyway, your comment about it being beautiful. It hardly rained the whole time we were there, which was fantastic. It did rain at night.
But did you still get rainbows? Did you get a rainbow?
We did. There were a couple times
where it would rain in the mountains, but not on the shore where you are.
See the rain.
There it is right there. There's raining and there's rainbows, and I'm in Hawaii, and there's.
And when it did rain, it only lasted a couple of minutes.
Okay.
And then it'd be gone, and nobody. So I asked Captain Crowhill if I should bring a raincoat, and she said nobody in Hawaii wears a raincoat.
You wouldn't look cool.
Rains and you get wet, and so what?
Right.
And it dries. It's sunny and you dry off in a couple of minutes, and it's just not a problem. But absolutely beautiful. Lots of palm trees, lots of flowers, lots of flowering plants of all descriptions everywhere, and interesting birds. I have an app that you can record a bird, and it'll tell you what the bird is. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of cool. You wake up in the morning and you hear these weird birds, and you turn it on, and it tells you what it is that's out there making all that noise.
So when you're in Honolulu?
We were in Honolulu part of the time. We were staying in a town a little ways from Honolulu.
Okay.
But we went down to Honolulu, went to Waikiki, went to North Shore, went to the west side.
So in Honolulu, down there, during the workday,
mm-hmm.
Did you notice business attire?
Oh, I tried hard to look at the business attire. We were never really in Honolulu during business hours, but I did go by some areas where there were people working, and generally speaking, it was like khaki pants and a Hawaiian shirt.
Right. That's fantastic.
Apparently, nobody wears a tie on the entire island.
Right. That just shows that you're in town for a meeting.
Yes.
From California.
That's right. Yes. You don't want to do that. So, I bought a couple Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah.
That was one of my goals while I was out there, and found a couple good ones at the ABC store in downtown Waikiki.
Okay.
Yeah, that was interesting. And there were ABC stores everywhere.
Right.
And Waikiki was very nice. The beaches were very nice. They had areas that were blocked off. Like they had these seawalls out there to make it kind of more calm behind the seawall so kids could play and that kind of stuff. Most of the surfing is not done, like if you go to Cocoa Beach or something like that, the surfing is done close to the shore. A lot of surfing in Hawaii is done away from the shore. Things breaking out on reefs and stuff like that. Yeah. So I actually did some surfing, and this was only maybe the third time in my life I've tried surfing, and the first time in my life I actually got up on the board.
Oh, you got up on your 2 feet?
Got up on the board and did some actual surfing. So that was a lot of fun. Apparently the secret to surfing is to have a really big board. It makes it a whole lot easier.
To learning?
When you're first learning. When you get good, you get a smaller board so you can maneuver and stuff. But when you're first learning...
you're just trying to stay alive.
Yeah, just trying to stay up on them. The other thing I learned is very important is if you're trying to catch a wave and you don't, and the thing starts to tumble you, let go of the stupid board. Because if you try to hold on, it's like rips your arm out of your socket. It's pretty uncomfortable. Yeah.
But you got attached to your leg.
Oh yeah. You got a rope connecting it to your leg. So there were a lot of things about Hawaii that surprised me. One of them was there were not very many shorebirds. Like when I go to the beach, I expect to see what everybody calls seagulls, which are not seagulls. There's no such thing as a seagull. They're herring gulls. You expect to see gulls. You expect to see pelicans. You expect to see the little shorebirds that run along the beach and eat the little crabs. And that's none of that.
Yeah.
The birds that were on the beach were chickens and pigeons.
Okay.
And there were a couple of seabirds that were native to Hawaii, but apparently they stay out at sea. Yeah. They're not along the beach, which is surprising. The other thing that I did not see much of along the beach was seashells.
Oh.
The beaches, the beaches were all very different. Some of them had powdery sand, some of them had rough sand. But I think the whole time, Mrs. Crowhill likes to collect shells. Mm-hmm. So she's always walking along the beach looking for shells. I think we found 2.
Okay.
And they were tiny.
Huh.
Yeah, so that's apparently there are shells, but they're way out in the reefs. They're not on the shore. So now you went 30 years ago.
Right.
But you went, I just went to visit Captain Crowhill. Why did you go?
Well, because I had an invitation to go. My brother was living there, and I had just finished a semester of school, and this was the early '90s recession, and I couldn't find a decent job, and I'm like, I'm just going to get any kind of a job. He says, well, if you're not going to get a job in your field, and you're just going to get any kind of job, you can get any job here.
Right.
That's a very good idea.
Yes.
And being pre-internet and pre-nervousness, I just I bought a newspaper and I went to the classified ads and found a one-way ticket, the second half of somebody else's ticket.
Okay.
They flew back. They didn't use the second half. Yeah. And they were willing to sell it, so I flew as Paul Goldcorn. And as a matter of fact, as they're getting onto the plane, I was late, and they actually called my name over there. They're like, we're about to pull out, Paul Goldcorn. If you're here, you better get to the gate.
That's hilarious.
So no checked IDs or anything like that. Yeah. Metal detectors or anything like that. Different world, just did that. So and got a job, and my brother had a Sportster, a Harley Sportster. Yeah. But he wanted a bigger bike to take his briefcase, and it's just his working commute. Yeah. Bike. Was going to sell the first one until he knew I was coming out, and said, "Oh well, I guess I won't sell it. Still have it today." So I got out there, had a Harley to drive, a place to live, found a job, and
So what kind of a job did you do out there?
I worked in the tourist industry. So I worked at a company that did speedboats, jet skis, and paragliding. Kind of stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So kind of worked. Wore bathing suit, and I was out in the bay. It was Hawaii Kai, Mauna Loa, on your the bay right after Diamond Head.
Oh, okay.
Heading east from Honolulu. Yeah. So that was a pretty good time.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
But what happened was I ended up not missing out on a lot of the tourist stuff because it's one of those things like, well, I can always do that next weekend, and the next thing you know, I'm heading home and I'm going, I never even went to Pearl Harbor to the museum.
Right.
What the heck? But again, because get to do that anytime.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I didn't do it.
Yeah, we did go to Pearl Harbor, saw the Missouri, and saw it's astonishing how deep it gets fast.
Okay.
In that harbor.
Right.
Usually you expect, especially around the Chesapeake Bay and that sort of thing, it takes a while to get deep in most places. Well, here, 10 feet offshore, it's 50 feet deep in that place. It's pretty surprising.
Perfect.
And so we saw the Missouri, saw the memorial for the, why can't I remember the ship? The ship that's still sunk on the bottom of
Arizona?
Yeah, Arizona, right. And so that was pretty cool. And one thing that did surprise me about Hawaii was it wasn't as hot as I expected it to be.
All right.
If you look at where it is, it's sort of parallel to Miami. You know,
Okay.
it's kind of low. It's down there, and I expected it to be pretty hot. It really wasn't at all uncomfortable.
Right.
And the other thing, which was very nice, is I did not get sunburned, which for someone with my complexion is quite a task. I apparently was very good with good with the sunscreen. I mentioned the Mongooses. That was interesting. I did notice something that's kind of relevant to topics we've discussed here. They have a football team called the Red Raiders, with an image of a native on the helmet.
What do you know?
Yeah.
Ah,
so
I know that. Yes.
And it's kind of surprising. You're in, and here's why it was surprising to me. They're very sensitive about native culture in Hawaii.
Right.
And so they'll use a lot of native words. They're very in touch with native culture in Hawaii. And here in the midst of all that, they have a team called the Red Raiders that has a native on the helmet.
Right.
And around here, of course, we had the big controversy about the Redskins and having to change that name. So I thought that's
interesting. Yes.
Yeah. Now, have you ever broken open the thing that holds chocolate in its native form? Cacao beans.
Right. I don't think so.
Yeah. So it's this big thing that has a somewhat of a soft exterior that you can crack open, and inside is this gooey white stuff. And inside the gooey white stuff are the beans. Now, we went to a chocolate plantation, and we broke open one of these things and took out, and the gooey white stuff, you can actually eat it. It has an interesting flavor. It has a slightly citrusy kind of a flavor. It's kind of gross texture, but it has an interesting flavor to it. And I asked them, well, what do you do with this stuff? And they said nothing. Nobody does anything with that stuff.
Right.
Which surprised me because I thought it had a decent flavor to it. Well, later we were at a chocolate wine bar place where they would do these pairings of this red wine with this chocolate and that sort of thing. It was actually fantastic. It was very interesting. I'll get to that in a minute. But they had this kegerator sitting on the other side of the room. I said, what's in that? And they said, oh, we made a drink out of that white stuff out of the cocoa.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Exactly, why wouldn't you? So I said, well, I definitely have to have a glass of that. Wasn't as good as I expected it to be, but it was still interesting. It had that same slightly citrusy flavor, and they carbonated it. But the chocolate and wine pairings were very interesting because of how the chocolate would change the flavor of the wine. You take a sip of the wine, and then you'd eat a little bit of the chocolate, and then you take another sip of the wine, and you're like, it's a different wine. It has a completely different flavor.
Fun.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. Let's see.
How Asian was it?
Yeah, not as much as, very Asian, but still not as much as I expected.
Right.
Because I've been told that there are a lot of Japanese go to Hawaii. Back in the heyday in Japan, the story was it was cheaper to fly to Hawaii and play golf there than it was to try to play golf.
That's when I was there. So this was when Japan was buying up all the hot real estate in Manhattan, and this is the 90s, and we're about to see the century of Asia. When by 2000, it's going to be Japan leading the United States.
Right.
And, yes, so there were where I worked, we worked with a specific tour guy, Mike, who's Vietnamese, and he would just bring in van loads of young Japanese girls.
Yeah.
So the tourist industry was very heavily Japanese, but just like when you were walking around downtown, it was still very Asian. I don't know which. And my brother was there long enough that at least with the women, he'd be like, okay, that's see that one over there? She's Korean, she's Filipino, she's Vietnamese.
Interesting. Yeah. So one thing that surprised me a little bit about the Asians in Hawaii was how pale they were.
Okay.
Because I usually think of, when you think of the classic stereotypical image of a Hawaiian girl.
Yes.
You imagine...
Or Polynesian, Samoan,
you picture them well-tanned.
Yeah.
And so there were all these Asian women there who were just very pale. And I asked Captain Crowhill about that, who spent some time both in Korea and Japan. And she said that in Asia, that's the big thing, is to keep out of the sun, keep your whole body covered, and they even do like skin lightening treatments.
Huh.
Because it's considered low class to have a tan.
Yeah, well, which is, it's like the United States until the 20th century, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
In the United States and in the Western world in general, you only had a tan because you were working in the field.
Yeah, you don't want to advertise that to anybody.
Yeah. So if you were high class, then you were sitting at home in your parlor drinking tea. And
that's why they had those big fancy umbrellas and stuff for walking in the sun.
That's right. And it wasn't until maybe the 60s when they started promoting the copper tan, suntan, and all that kind of...
But that's still an Asian thing to maintain...
to try to stay pale. That's right.
What do you know? Did you go to McDonald's?
I did not. I saw some McDonald's, and... I've heard that they serve different stuff.
Well, yes, Spam is very big in Hawaii.
Spam is big in Hawaii. As a matter of fact,
they even have like a sushi roll.
Yes, with Spam in it.
With Spam, yeah.
So this morning, to kind of like a post-trip celebration, Mrs. Crowhill and I had eggs and Spam and Hawaiian coffee and toast with pineapple jelly, pineapple jam on top. But you're right, Spam is a big thing.
Right.
Isn't that weird?
It is weird. and pork in general.
Yes. Well, pork makes sense because that was the main source of...
Yeah, but it's also very big in Puerto Rico. But you would also think of, as an island, seafood.
Yes.
Would be, it'd be basically all seafood. Mm-hmm. But really, pork is bigger than seafood.
Yes. Like you go to a luau, it's pork.
Yeah.
They had fish, but it wasn't a big deal. So having a lot of Spam was... I mean, I didn't eat Spam when I was in Hawaii. I ate it when I came home.
But you noticed.
Yeah, I noticed it, for sure. And supposedly, we never darkened the door of a McDonald's, but supposedly there are several things different about the menu.
Yeah.
So Captain Crowhill said that, for one thing, they actually fry the cakes, or not the cakes, the pies, at McDonald's in Hawaii, where every place else, they bake them.
Fry them.
They used to fry them in the States until the food police got after them, and then they started not frying them anymore. Yeah. So we tried a couple different breweries. One brewery was and this isn't a particularly Hawaii thing, but they had this way that you'd set up an account, and they'd put a bracelet on you that had a chip, and you'd go to the tap, and you'd scan it, and it would turn on the tap, and you could pour however many ounces you wanted of any given beer, and it would charge you by the ounce.
That's pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. It was very interesting.
Yes, except you then don't have the opportunity to interact with the bartender.
True. And now that's a good point, because that situation, you're pouring it yourself, and then another situation was we were at this place where you walk to the table, and there's a barcode on the table. You scan it. It pulls up an app, and you do all your ordering in the app, and then somebody just drops the stuff off at the table.
Right.
Provided the app works, which in this case it didn't really work that well. But you do lose that interaction.
Yeah.
I like to talk to the bartender or the server or whatever. So that doesn't really appeal to me.
Yeah, I mean, you might be between two things, or you might like chili cooked in a particular way, and you say, hey, does this thing...
Or you ask, what's the best?
I don't like mushrooms. Any mushrooms? Whatever.
Right, exactly. Or at this breakfast place, I had read on Google reviews or something that this one thing was fantastic, but I talked to the server, what are the best dishes here? And she talked me into something completely different, which was a strange breakfast. It was almost like soup. Had rice in it, and eggs, and cut up sausage, and then some like greens and stuff, and they would pour hot broth on top of it all.
Well,
it was very odd.
Right.
It was decently good, but it was just strange. Odd. Yeah. So, what about what time is a football game?
Right. Yeah, that could be rough.
Yes. Football games at 1:00. which means 7 o'clock.
Yes.
So
I was there through the end of basketball season and most of baseball season.
Mm-hmm.
And in the evening, they would say that they would tell the viewer, avert your eyes if you do not want to see the score.
Uh-huh.
And then they would show, because it was time delayed.
Still going, yeah,
they were going to play the game at night, but
yes.
it had already taken place 6 hours earlier,
yes.
and they didn't want to spoil it for you.
Yeah.
So the sports, that day's sports were generally just not talked about.
Yeah, well, we were at the bar at 7 in the morning to watch the Redskins game, so that was a strange experience.
Right.
But,
right. Although, on the other hand, I guess you could have your football done, take a nap, and still have the rest of the day.
Yes.
So that would also work.
Now, have you heard of shave ice?
Yeah, right? Yeah, I forgot about shave ice.
Shave ice. So, around here you think of snow cones.
Yes.
They had this stuff called shave ice.
Not shaved.
Yes, shave ice.
Yeah.
It sounds like something you would put on your face before you shave. But the general store in this town up in North Beach, I don't remember the name of the town, they had fantastic shave ice. It was amazingly good.
Okay.
And so that you'd put a scoop of ice cream in the bottom and then put the shave ice, and then they'd put the flavor on it. And then there was something else they coated it with. It was like sweetened condensed milk or something weird like that, which would form like a crust on the top. Mm-hmm. It was absolutely fantastic.
Good.
Yeah, so we went to a sugar mill.
Right.
Went to a coffee gallery. We went to food trucks. Went to a honey mead place. Just all kinds of things. A chocolate factory. Went to several different beaches. Went to a barbecue. Went to a luau. It was just all really amazing stuff.
With the island being filled with svelte, sexy Hawaiian hula girls that you probably saw at the beaches all day, were they also at the luau?
Well, actually, there were not very many. That was another thing that kind of surprised me. It's because you had this picture in your mind.
Yes, every postcard has
has these attractive, slender Hawaiian girls with in a bikini next to a palm tree. No, it's not like that.
No, it's not.
Not like that at all. Hawaiian women, generally speaking, are large and tattooed.
Yes,
and there were a lot of attractive women there, but I don't think any of them were Hawaiian.
Right.
I think they were.
Yeah, I think there was some. I had the feeling because you had like a quick starter upper with any stranger.
Mm-hmm.
I met people who were living there.
Yeah.
But rarely met somebody who was raised there. Right. So there's always, hey, where are you from? How'd you get here? About that little conversation. But I felt like it was the girls who looked good in skimpy outfits back home.
Yeah.
Are more. It was a self-selected bunch.
Yeah.
I guess is what I'm saying. Right.
Mm-hmm.
If you're two friends in Minnesota and one's perfectly happy covering herself up with a bunch of sweaters,
mm-hmm.
and the other wants to wear adorable little outfits that you can't do very much in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then they're
go
more inclined to end up in Hawaii. So yes, lots of attractive women, not necessarily
the natives.
Hawaiian.
Right.
No. They're.
I'm sure there are plenty of attractive. I just didn't see any.
Most
of what I was seeing was. Yeah.
But if you found the American servicemen who some tall, gawky, not attractive sailor,
right,
and some frumpy, not attractive Hawaiian, beautiful kids.
Yeah.
Great combination.
Actually, the funny thing was, now that you mentioned that, the place we went surfing was a military beach. Captain Crowhill can get us into all these things. So we went to this. It was actually a Navy beach, and I think that beach had more good-looking women than any other.
What do you know?
You had all these military people and their spouses and children and all that kind of thing. That was pretty amazing. One thing that I wanted to talk about was Captain Crowhill said we had to go see Creepy Space Jesus.
Right.
Which I'm like, okay, what is that? So it turned out to be the Mormon Visitor Center on North Shore. And that was quite a place. Kind of looked like something out of India. It was an odd-looking place. But you walk into the visitor center, and there is this great big statue of Jesus, and behind him is this panoramic view of planets and stars and
all right.
Because in Mormon theology, which I don't understand very well, supposedly once you become a Mormon saint or whatever, you get your own planet somewhere, some weird thing like that. Yeah,
yeah.
So,
but because Hawaii is so small, they do have agreements with a lot of other West Coast states for in-state tuition. So you don't go there including Brigham Young, which has a lot of Hawaiians because of a sizable, I guess, their missionary project doing well in the islands.
There you go. If you're going to have to go, a lot of Mormons go on 2-year missions after college or something like that. If you're going to go on mission, why not go to Hawaii?
Yeah. Do I get to choose?
Exactly. So it was a fantastic trip. Absolutely loved it. Would love to go back, but I'm not sure we're going to be able to because we got to stay with Captain Crowhill, which of course meant no hotel bill, which was
that
makes a big difference. Yes.
All right. So a little bit of trivia before we go.
Yeah.
What is the state fish?
Oh, yes. Captain Crowhill told me it's this weird name.
It's not easy.
I saw the fish out in the out when we were snorkeling. I saw it, and she pointed to it and said, "That's the state fish." And it's got this long, complicated name.
Yeah. Tell me if this sounds right. The humu nuku nuku apua'a.
That's something like that. Something like that.
Yes, you're right. You get it on a shirt and it just covers this. This goes from one end of the shirt to the other.
Yes.
And how many letters are in the alphabet?
Oh, interesting. In the Polynesian alphabet?
The Hawaiian alphabet.
The Hawaiian alphabet? No idea.
Yes. So there are 5 vowels.
Yeah.
And 8 consonants.
Interesting.
There are 13.
And 13 letters?
And then you start thinking about it. You try to think of every town that you'd ever been to, and you're like, yeah, just run out of letters. It's just L, M, N, P, K.
Sure. And they seem to pronounce every letter.
You're right. Right. Sometimes they're like in Hawaii, you put 2 of them next to each other with a little a little accent, which means just like a stopgap, and then you just say it again.
There's this place out there that was spelled Like. Like.
Right.
That's leaky. not like.
Yeah, those silent letters.
No.
Letters changing the sounds of the other letter. Come on.
I know. You just say every letter. We paid for that letter.
Yeah. You only got 13 of them, so you got to say them all. You can't afford any silences. So good. Well, I'm glad you got to get out there, and boy, I need to do that myself. Was the travel all right?
Well, it was long.
Yes,
long, but generally speaking, it was fine. I did learn the secret to my head not exploding on the plane.
That's
Usually the sinus stuff gets me bad on plane trips, but I realized if I take Sudafed and this Zyrtec and squirt the stuff up my nose, all 3 of them, I survive.
Well, good enough.
Yeah.
Okay, let's switch gears here for a man of the week.
Okay, yes, we do actually have a man.
I
do have a man of the week, and you're going to not believe me about this.
Oh boy, here it comes.
James Carville.
You mean somebody who attacked James Carville?
No, James Carville is the man of the week. James Carville is the man of the week.
Do explain.
Okay, so James Carville, who you know as the husband of Mary Madeline, it was a strange relationship they have.
Yeah, how does that work?
He's radical lefty, she's a radical righty, and James Carville still shows up as a commentator from time to time in different places.
And he was very active in the Bill Clinton years.
Yes, yes, and he usually a pretty smart guy and had interesting things to say, although usually just completely wrong. Anyway, he doesn't like this woke stuff, and he and Bill Maher are both kind of on the no, you woke people have gone too far, and you're crazy. He said they're the most stupid, naive people you can imagine.
Oh, he said, wow.
Yes.
No pulling any punches here, doesn't it? So this is. Yes, in the Bill Clinton days, he and Bill Maher would have just been fringe lefties in my mind, but they're actually exactly where they were, and the
the left moved away from
the left has moved so far away. These guys are standing in the same place that they've always been in, and now they're man of the week on the P&C show.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, so here's the quote from Carville. I find the left to be just annoying. The Western far left is habitually the most stupid, naive people you can imagine. They come up with these really goofy constructs, and it's all about feeling good about yourself.
Yes.
So there you go.
You're right.
If your feelings are hurt, that's more important than free speech.
Yes, that is right. And he's like, don't you understand what liberalism even means?
I know. Exactly. Yeah, liberalism doesn't mean liberalism anymore.
No.
Liberalism means some sort of totalitarian wokeness.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it means fretting all day long about sex and gender and race.
And whether you're possibly hurting somebody's feelings somewhere. Or trying to find a way for your own feelings to be hurt.
Yes.
It's like you're searching for a way. Yes.
To be, like, can I be offended and can I be oppressed? Please
exactly,
let me be
exactly.
And
Please let me be offended by
this.
And
then go after the cause of that as evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Well, James, I never thought you would deserve the honor.
Yes, I know.
Of the P&C Man of the Week.
We'll have to send you a button that you can wear with pride. Cheers. Crowhill here. Thanks so much for listening to Beer and Conversation with Pigweed and Crowhill. If you like the show, please tell a friend or share it in whatever way seems appropriate to you. We also have a website, beerandconversation.com. And if you'd like to send us an email, you can reach us at pigweedshow@gmail.com. Thanks so much. See you next time.